The ceremony hall on Valori's Prime was the largest building Captain Tae-jin Kim had ever seen. Crystal pillars reached up into a ceiling so high it disappeared into artificial clouds. Thousands of aliens filled the space, representing 12 different species from across the galaxy. Their voices created a strange music of clicks, hums, and sounds Tae-jin had no names for. He stood with the other human delegates, wearing his best uniform. The dark blue fabric felt stiff and uncomfortable. Earth had waited 50 years for this moment. 50 years of asking, pleading, and proving themselves worthy. Today, humanity would finally join the Galactic Union. "Do you think they'll give us real ships?" whispered Commander Hyen-Woo Lee, standing beside him. Hyen-Woo was younger than Tae-jin, but he understood aliens better than anyone else in Earth's fleet. "We'll take whatever they give us," Tae-jin replied quietly, "and we'll make it work." The Vexari ambassador, Thelkor, stepped forward. The Vexari were tall, covered in dark scales, with 4 arms and eyes that glowed like hot coals. Thelkor's voice boomed across the hall without any speaker system. "Humanity, you have asked to join our union. We have watched you. We have studied you. We have debated your worthiness." Thelkor paused, and Tae-jin felt his stomach tighten. "We have decided to accept you as probationary members." Relief flooded through the human delegation. Some of them smiled. A few even started to clap before remembering where they were. "As with all new species," Thelkor continued, "you will receive equipment suitable for your first patrol vessel. This is your chance to prove you can protect Union space and follow our laws." 2 massive doors opened behind the stage. Tae-jin heard gasps from the other humans. He stared at what floated into view. It was a ship. At least it had been a ship once. The hull was dark and pitted with age. Rust-colored stains covered the metal plating. Parts of it looked like they had been badly repaired and then left to decay again. The engines were huge cylindrical blocks that looked like they came from a mining operation. Everything about it screamed old, used, and worthless. "This vessel served the Union for 400 years as a mining barge," said Malix, the Quentari High Sage. The Quentari looked almost human, except for their silver skin and the way they never blinked. "It has been decommissioned and refitted with shields, weapons, and navigation systems. Everything you need for patrol duty." Lieutenant Subin Choi, Earth's best weapons officer, moved closer to Tae-jin. "Sir," she whispered, "those weapons are museum pieces." "I've seen better technology in history books." Tae-jin said nothing. He watched the ship rotate slowly for the crowd to see. The other alien species were watching the humans now, not the ship. Some looked amused, others seemed curious. Many appeared to be waiting for something. Dr. Dae-Young Han, Earth's top physicist, pulled out a small scanner. He was breaking protocol, but Tae-jin didn't stop him. After a moment, Dae-Young's eyes went wide. "Captain," he said softly, "the power core is 300 years out of date. The shields flicker every few seconds. The weapons couldn't punch through modern armor if we had a year to shoot." "They're testing us," said Hyen-Woo, his voice bitter. "They want to see if we'll complain. If we'll demand better equipment like spoiled children," Tae-jin understood. This wasn't a gift, it was a challenge. The aliens expected humans to fail, to cry that it wasn't fair, to prove they weren't ready for the big galaxy. He looked at his crew. Subin was angry, her hands clenched into fists. Dae-Young looked worried. Hyen-Woo seemed ready to start a diplomatic incident. Then Tae-jin saw Chief Engineer Ji-woo Park. She stood apart from the others, staring at the ship with an expression he knew well. She was calculating, planning, seeing possibilities. Ji-woo had grown up in the belt colonies between Mars and Jupiter. Out there, people survived by making broken things work. She could fix anything with spare parts and stubbornness. Ji-woo caught his eye and gave the smallest nod. Her message was clear. "We can work with this." Tae-jin stepped forward. The crowd grew quiet. He knew every eye was on him, waiting to see how humanity would react to this insult disguised as generosity. "Thank you, Ambassador Thelkor." High Sage Malix. "This is a generous gift." His voice carried across the hall, steady and calm. "Earth accepts this vessel with gratitude." We will prove ourselves worthy of the Union's trust. Confusion rippled through the alien observers. Thelkor's glowing eyes narrowed. You do not wish to request more modern equipment? Surely you can see this ship is old. Old isn't the same as useless, Taijin replied. Humans know how to work with what we have. We've been doing it since we lived in caves. We'll do it in space too. For a moment, silence filled the massive hall. Then Malik spoke, and something that might have been respect touched the Quenery's voice. You have 1 standard galactic year to prepare your vessel. Then you will begin patrol duties in the Crest sector. The sector is known for pirate activity. Many ships are lost there. Another test, another challenge. Taijin simply nodded. We'll be ready, the ceremony ended. As the humans left the hall, the other delegates crowded around Taijin. How can you accept that junk? Demanded one admiral. They're making fools of us. No, said Jiwoo quietly, still staring at images of the ship on her tablet. They're giving us exactly what we need to show them what humans can do. What do you mean? Asked Su-Bin. Dru's smile was sharp and dangerous. They gave us old technology, right? Technology they think is worthless. But it's still more advanced than anything we have on Earth, that power core. We've been trying to build something like it for 20 years. Those shields? We don't have shields at all. These weapons might be toys to them, but they're miracles to us, understanding dawned on Daeyoung's face. And they have no idea what we can do when we modify things. When we push technology past its limits. When we refuse to accept that something is impossible. Exactly, Taijin said. They gave us junk. Now we'll show them what humans build from junk. They boarded a shuttle to the orbital dock where their new ship waited. As they approached, Taijin could see it more clearly. The hull was scarred and ugly. The engines looked like they belonged in a scrapyard. Every system was outdated, inefficient, and probably half broken. He had never been more excited in his life. What should we call her? Asked Hyan-Wu. Taijin looked at his crew. They were all thinking the same thing. They had been given garbage and told to prove themselves. The galaxy expected them to fail. Every alien species would be watching, waiting for the humans to crawl back and beg for help. They had no idea what was coming. We'll call her Indomitable, Taijin said. Because that's what we are. Nothing breaks us. Nothing stops us. They gave us their worst. We'll turn it into their nightmare. The crew smiled. They had work to do. 1 year to turn trash into treasure. 1 year to build something the galaxy had never seen before. 1 year to prove that humanity belonged among the stars. The first time Jiwoo walked through the Indomitable's engine room, she wanted to cry. Everything was worse than she had imagined. Cables hung loose from the ceiling. Half the panels were missing. The power core hummed with a sound that meant trouble. Oil leaked from a dozen different places, forming small pools on the floor. This is going to take more than a year, said one of her engineers. A young woman named Bio Ra. She looked ready to give up already. Dr. Wu pulled out her toolkit. Then we better start now. The first 3 months were brutal. The crew worked 18-hour days, taking apart every system to understand how it worked. Daeyoung spent weeks just studying the power core. It was based on principles that Earth scientists had theories about but had never actually built. It's beautiful, Daeyoung said one night, covered in grease and smiling like a child. It's incredibly inefficient by their standards, but it's still 50 years ahead of our best reactors. And I think I know how to make it better. Better how? Jiwoo asked. They run power through the core once and dump the excess as waste heat. But what if we cycle it? Run the waste back through secondary systems. Use the heat to power other things. It won't be elegant, but it will give us maybe 40% more power. Will it explode? Probably not. Good enough. Do it. Subin had her own problems. The weapon systems were so old that replacement parts didn't exist anymore. The plasma cannons could fire maybe 10 shots before overheating. The targeting computer took 5 seconds to lock onto anything. These won't even scratch a modern pirate ship, she complained to Taijin one evening. The captain looked at the massive ore processors. that had once crushed asteroids. We're not using modern weapons. We're using human weapons. Subin followed his gaze and slowly smiled. The mining equipment. Exactly. What crushes rocks? Kinetic force. Raw impact. And what moves faster than anything in space? Subin's eyes went wide. Railguns? We build railguns from the mining processors. Over the next weeks, Jiwoo's team modified the massive ore crushers. They stripped out the crushing mechanisms and replaced them with magnetic accelerators. The system was crude and simple, but it would launch chunks of dense metal at incredible speeds. At those velocities, even small objects hit like bombs. The aliens use energy shields, Subin explained to her weapons team. Shields are designed to disperse energy like plasma or lasers. But kinetic impacts? Solid mass? That's different physics. Their shields might not handle it well. Meanwhile, Hyun-woo worked on the ship's computers. The navigation system was older than some Earth nations. It required manual input for everything. But Hyun-woo saw an advantage? Modern ships use quantum computers, he told Tae-jin. Everything connects to everything. It's efficient but vulnerable. Our old systems don't connect to anything. We're practically invisible to cyber warfare. And I've been writing some programs of our own. What kind of programs? The kind that confuse alien computers. Viruses written in human code. They'll never see them coming because they don't expect such primitive systems to be a threat. 6 months into the project, Jiwoo called everyone together for a demonstration. They gathered in the cargo bay, where she had set up a test version of their modified railgun. Watch, she said simply. The railgun fired. A piece of metal, the size of a fist, shot across the bay and punched through 3 layers of ship, plating before embedding itself in the far wall. The sound was deafening. Smoke filled the air. Everyone stared in silence. That, said Subin quietly, is beautiful. But problems kept appearing. The shields were still garbage. They flickered on and off randomly. Sometimes they failed completely for several seconds. Jiwoo spent 2 weeks trying to fix them before she realized something. We can't make them better, she told Tae-jin. The technology is too degraded, but we can use more of them. What do you mean? They gave us enough shields for a mining barge? But what if we don't cover the whole ship? What if we layer multiple shields over important areas? The bridge, the engines, the weapons. Let the rest of the hull take damage. We'll reinforce it with armor plating from Earth. It was wasteful and crude. It meant parts of their ship would be completely exposed. But it would protect the vital systems. Tae-jin approved it immediately. Earth sent up supplies on every shuttle. Extra armor plating. Computer systems. And weapons. Lots of weapons. Nuclear missiles that were considered ancient by galactic standards. Chemical explosives. Kinetic rounds. Even some old-fashioned cannons that fired solid shells. These are barbaric, said one Quintari observer who visited to check their progress. He watched as they mounted a nuclear warhead to the ship's hull and looked horrified. No civilized species uses such weapons anymore. We're not civilized, Jiwoo replied cheerfully. We're human. The observer left quickly and filed a report calling the humans dangerously creative. By month 9, the Indomitable looked like a nightmare. The smooth lines of the mining barge were gone. Instead, weapons stuck out at odd angles. Armor plates covered some sections but not others. The engines glowed with excessive heat from Dae-young's modifications. Nothing matched. Nothing looked planned. It's ugly, admitted Hyun-woo. It's terrifying, corrected Subin. Any pirate who sees this will think we're insane. Good, said Tae-jin. Let them think that. The final 3 months were spent testing everything. The first time they fired the railgun at full power, it nearly tore itself apart. Jiwoo and her team spent 2 weeks reinforcing the mounting brackets. The first time, Dae-young ran the power core at maximum capacity. The heat melted through 6 coolant lines. They rerouted the entire cooling system. The first time they tried to use all the shields at once. They overloaded and started a small fire. They recalibrated the power distribution. Each failure taught them something. Each problem had a solution, even if that solution was held together with bolts and prayers. 2 weeks before the deadline, alien officials arrived for a final inspection. They walked through the Indomitable in stunned silence. One Vexari officer kept touching the welded armor plates as if he couldn't believe what he was seeing. "This is not how ship modification is done," he finally said. "It's how humans do it." Taejin replied. The Vexari looked at the captain for a long moment. "You will die in the crest sector. These modifications are crude and unstable. You have turned a mining barge into a monstrosity." "Yes," agreed Taejin. "But it's our monstrosity." After the officials left, Biora approached Ji Woo. "Chief, are we really going to fly this thing into combat? Half our systems are held together with backup systems. The other half are human additions that the ship wasn't designed for." Wu looked around the engine room. Every surface showed signs of their work. Modifications, additions, repairs, and creative solutions to impossible problems. It was messy and imperfect. It was also ready. "The aliens think we failed," Jiwoo said. "They think we took their junk and made it worse? They're wrong. We took their junk and made it ours. Every weird angle, every mismatched weapon, every crude modification, it's all planned. We know exactly what this ship can do. And what's that?" Jiwoo smiled. "Survive, fight, win, everything humans have always done." On the final day, the crew gathered on the bridge. Taejin sat in the captain's chair, which had been replaced with a better one from Earth. Around him, his crew manned their stations. Everyone wore their uniforms. Everyone was ready. "Chief Engineer status report," Taejin said formally. "All systems operational," Jiwoo replied. "Probably weapons status." "We have enough ammunition to start a small war," Subin reported. "Railguns charged and ready. Missiles armed. Explosives primed. If it exists, we can shoot it. Navigation." "Course plotted for the crest sector," said Hyun-woo. "Also, I've uploaded all our cyber warfare packages. If any pirate tries to hack us, they're in for a surprise." Taejin nodded. He opened a communication channel to Galactic Union Command. "This is Captain Taejin Kim of the UNS Indomitable. We are ready to begin our patrol assignment." There was a pause before the response came. "Understood, Indomitable. You may proceed to the crest sector." "And Captain, good luck. You will need it." The channel closed. Taejin looked at his crew. They had done the impossible. They had taken 400-year-old junk and turned it into a warship. It might not look like much. It might not follow any design principles that made sense, but it was theirs. And they would prove what humans could do when everyone expected them to fail. "Take us out," Taejin ordered. The Indomitable's engines roared to life. The ship shuddered, groaned, and then smoothly pulled away from the dock. Behind them, alien observers watched in disbelief as the ugly, mismatched vessel headed toward one of the most dangerous regions in the galaxy. None of them expected to ever see it again. 3 weeks in the crest sector had been quiet, too quiet. Taejin didn't trust it. He sat in his captain's chair, watching the star field drift past on the view screen. The crew had settled into their routines, but everyone remained alert. They all knew this sector's reputation. "Contact," Hyun-woo suddenly announced. "I'm picking up a distress signal. It's Quantari, a merchant ship." "Put it through," Taejin ordered. Static filled the bridge, then a panicked voice. "This is the merchant vessel Silver Tide. We are under attack. 6 ships, Razorwing Syndicate. Our shields are failing. Please, anyone, we need help immediately." Subin checked her sensors. "They're 40 million kilometers away. The raiders are circling them. Standard pirate tactics, hit the engines, board, steal cargo." "How long until Union reinforcements arrive?" Taejin asked. "Nearest patrol is 3 hours out," Hyun-woo replied. "The merchant ship won't last 20 minutes. Taejin made his decision in seconds. Set course, maximum speed. "Sir," said Dae-young. From the engineering station, "If we burn the engines that hard, we'll arrive with reduced power for weapons." "Then we'll make every shot count. Go." The Indomitable lurched forward. The engines roared louder than they should. Tae-young muttered prayers to gods he didn't believe in as he watched the power levels climb. Ji-woo worked frantically below decks, making sure nothing exploded. 15 minutes later, they dropped out of faster-than-light travel right into the middle of a fight. The Silver Tide was a beautiful ship, all smooth curves and elegant design, but now it trailed atmosphere from a dozen breaches. Its shields flickered weakly. 6 smaller ships circled it like sharks, their weapons tearing into the defenseless merchant vessel. For a moment, nobody noticed the Indomitable's arrival. Then one of the raiders broke off and turned toward them. "Incoming transmission," said Hyun-woo. "The raiders want to talk? Put them through." A face appeared on the screen. It belonged to a Crix, a species known for piracy. Sharp teeth filled its mouth. 4 eyes studied the Indomitable with obvious amusement. A human ship. How cute. "Turn around and leave, little humans. This prey is ours." Tae-jin leaned forward. "You have 5 seconds to stop your attack and surrender," the Crix laughed. The other raiders joined in. "You're flying a mining barge? An old one." "We have 6 modern raiders." "What will you do? Throw rocks at us?" "Yes," said Tae-jin. "Exactly that. Subin, fire." The railgun had been aimed and ready. Subin pressed the trigger without hesitation. The magnetic accelerators charged and released. A cloud of dense metal. Fragments shot out at a significant fraction of light speed. The Raider shields were designed to handle energy weapons, lasers, plasma, particle beams. They dispersed that kind of energy easily, but kinetic impacts were different. Physical objects with mass and velocity. The shields tried to disperse the energy but couldn't fully stop the momentum. 2 of the Raiders took direct hits. Their shields flashed and failed. The metal fragments punched through their hulls like they were paper. Atmosphere vented into space. One ship started spinning out of control. The other simply went dark, all systems offline. The Crix's laughter stopped. "What was that? What did you do?" "We threw rocks," Tae-jin replied calmly, "like I said." Subin again. The second railgun volley caught another raider trying to flee. Its engines exploded in a brilliant flash. Now 3 raiders were crippled or destroyed. The remaining 3 began to coordinate, finally taking the humans seriously. "They're attempting to surround us," Hyun-woo warned. "Classic pack tactics. Let them come close," Tae-jin said. "Ki-woo, you ready?" From engineering, Ji-woo's voice came through. "Maneuvering thrusters are ready. This is going to be rough." The Indomitable was slow compared to the raider ships. They were built for speed and agility. The converted mining barge couldn't match their maneuvers. But Ji-woo had prepared for this. "Now," Tae-jin ordered. The ship vented atmosphere from strategic points. The force of the escaping air pushed the Indomitable into a spin. It wasn't elegant, it wasn't smooth, but it worked. The massive ship rotated faster than its engines could have managed alone. The railguns fired again and again. Each shot sent dozens of metal fragments at devastating speeds. The raiders tried to dodge, but the spread was too wide. One raider took a hit that sheared off its entire weapon array. Another had its cockpit breached. 2 left, Subin reported, and they're running. "Not fast enough. Launch missiles." "Sir, those are nuclear-tipped," Hyun-woo said. "They're banned by 12 different Union treaties." "We're human." "We didn't sign those treaties yet. Fire." 6 missiles launched from the Indomitable's hull. They were old Earth designs, primitive compared to modern galactic weapons. Their guidance systems used ancient technology. The Raiders' quantum computers scanned them and dismissed them as no threat. That was their mistake. The missiles didn't use sophisticated targeting. They used simple heat-seeking and basic trajectory prediction. Systems so outdated that the Raiders' advanced countermeasures couldn't recognize them as threats. The countermeasures were designed to jam complex targeting algorithms, not track simple rockets. 4 missiles missed, but 2 hit. The nuclear detonations lit up space. The Raiders' shields tried to absorb the energy but were overwhelmed. Both ships were torn apart by the blasts and radiation. Silence filled the bridge. Then Subin let out a breath she had been holding. 6 hostiles eliminated, merchant vessel still intact. Taejin opened a channel to the Silver Tide. "Merchant vessel, this is the Un's Indomitable. You're safe now." The response was slow in coming. When it did, the Quentari captain sounded stunned. "Indomitable, you destroyed 6 raiders in under 2 minutes. How? We're human. It's what we do." Over the next hour, they helped the Silver Tide with emergency repairs. Gyu sent teams across to patch the worst hull breaches. Taeyong shared some power from their reactor to help restart the merchant ship's engines. The Quentari crew kept staring at the Indomitable, at its mismatched weapons, at the crude armor plating, at the whole impossible ugliness of it. "Your ship," said the merchant captain finally. "It looks like it shouldn't even fly." "It's not pretty," agreed Taejin. "But it works. You saved us with junk. They gave us junk. We made it deadly." Before they parted ways, the Quentari captain sent one more message. "I will tell everyone about this. About the human ship that fights like a cornered predator. The galaxy should know. Let them know," Taejin replied. "Maybe next time, pirates will think twice before attacking." After the Silver Tide jumped to safety, the crew of the Indomitable began cleanup and repairs. The battle had stressed several systems. One railgun had cracked its mounting. 2 shield generators had burned out. They had used half their missile supply, but they were alive. They had won. And more importantly, they had proven something. Hyun-woo was monitoring galactic communications when he started laughing. "Captain, you need to see this." The Quentari captain wasn't joking. He sent the battle footage to everyone. The view screen showed external camera footage from the Silver Tide. It showed the Indomitable arriving like an ugly savior. It showed the railgun strikes that no modern ship could properly defend against. It showed missiles that shouldn't have worked but did. And most of all, it showed 6 confident raiders becoming scattered debris in less than 2 minutes. The footage was spreading across the galactic network. Millions were watching. The comments rolled in from dozens of species. "Humans fight like madmen. That ship should be in a museum, not a battlefield. Did they just use nuclear weapons? Never underestimate a species with nothing to lose. I'm revising all my assumptions about human combat doctrine." Jiwoo appeared on the bridge, covered in grease and smiling. "I've patched everything critical. We're ready for another fight if it comes." "It will come," Taejin said. "Word is spreading. Every pirate in the sector now knows we're here. Some will avoid us, but others will see us as a challenge." "Let them come," Subin said. She was checking ammunition stores and looking pleased with what she found. "We've got plenty more rocks to throw." That night, Taejin walked through the ship. He saw his crew working, laughing, celebrating their first victory. They had faced real danger and won. Not because they had better ships or more advanced technology. They won because they were human. Because they refused to accept that old equipment meant automatic defeat. Because they found creative solutions when traditional tactics wouldn't work. In his quarters, Taejin recorded a message for Earth. Mission update. We engaged 6 hostile vessels in defense of an allied merchant ship. All hostiles destroyed. 0 casualties on our side. Minor damage to ship systems, all repairable. The Indomitable performed beyond expectations. The galaxy is starting to notice us. They gave us junk. We're showing them what humans build from junk. Captain Kim signing off. He sent the message and lay down to sleep. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, more pirates probably. Maybe even attention from the Union Military Command. But tonight he could rest knowing they had proven something important. Humanity belonged in space. Not because they had the best technology or the fastest ships, but because when someone told them something was impossible, they found a way to do it anyway. The Indomitable drifted through space, ugly and scarred but victorious. Inside, its crew slept peacefully. In the Crest sector, pirates began to whisper about the human ship. The message arrived 3 days after the Silver Tide incident. It came directly from Union Command, marked as urgent and official. Taejin read it twice before calling his officers to the bridge. "They want us to participate in a training exercise," he said. "Against a real Union patrol cruiser?" Hyun-woo frowned. "A training exercise? That's unusual for a probationary member." It's not training, Subin said immediately. They're embarrassed. We won when we were supposed to fail. Now they want to put us back in our place. Dae-Young pulled up information on his console. The ship we're facing is the UGS Sovereign's Pride, Vexari vessel. Modern shields, plasma cannons, quantum targeting, faster engines. It's everything we're not. Who's the captain? Asked Gou. Commander Rakthor. He's famous for never losing a battle simulation. The Vexari consider him their finest tactical officer. Hyung-woo paused. He's also been very vocal about humans being too primitive for space combat. Taejin smiled without humor. So they're sending their best to humiliate us. How long do we have? 10 days. The exercise takes place at the Theta Proving Grounds. Half the galactic military community will be watching. Perfect. Then let's give them a show. The next 10 days were intense. Ji-woo and her team worked around the clock to repair every damaged system. Dae-Young ran simulations of the Sovereign's Pride, studying its capabilities and looking for weaknesses. Subin drilled her weapons crew until they could load and fire in their sleep, but it was Taejin who spent the most time preparing. He studied recordings of Rakthor's previous battles. The Vexari commander was brilliant, no question. His tactics were textbook perfect. He used speed to control engagement range, superior firepower to overwhelm opponents, and never took unnecessary risks. That gave Taejin an idea. He fights by the book, the captain told his officers on the night before the exercise. Every move is calculated. Every decision is optimal according to Union military doctrine. So what do? Asked Subin. We throw out the book. We do things that don't make sense. We take damage that any sane captain would avoid. We make him think we're insane. We don't have to pretend very hard, Ji-woo muttered, getting a few laughs. There's something else, Taejin continued. Modern Union ships are designed to fight other Union ships. Energy weapons against energy shields. Quantum computers against quantum computers. But we're not a Union ship. Hyun-woo nodded slowly. We're human. We use different technology, different tactics, different thinking. Exactly. Our primitive systems are actually an advantage. Our crude weapons ignore their sophisticated defenses. And most importantly, we have something Rakthor doesn't. What's that? Asked Dae-Young. Nothing to lose. He's protecting his reputation. We're fighting for our species' future. He'll be careful. We'll be desperate. The day of the exercise arrived. The Indomitable and the Sovereign's Pride faced each other across empty space. Observation ships from a dozen species floated at a safe distance, all recording everything. The rules were simple. First ship to achieve a kill shot won. Weapons were set to low power to avoid actual destruction, but the computers would register when damage would have been fatal. Rakthor's voice came across the communication channel. Human Captain. I hope you have learned something during your time in space. This will be educational for you. I'm sure it will be, Taejin replied. For both of us. The exercise began. The Sovereign's Pride immediately used its speed advantage, accelerating to maximum velocity. It circled the Indomitable, firing plasma bolts from long range. The shots were precise and calculated, targeting the human ship's weapons and engines. Most of the shots hit. The Indomitable's shields flickered and held, but barely. Alarms blared across the bridge. Shields down to 60%, reported Dae-Young. He's picking us apart. Let him, Taejin said calmly. Ji-woo, start venting coolant. Make it look random. Sir? Trust me. The Indomitable began leaking coolant into space. It formed a slowly expanding cloud around the ship, glittering in the starlight. To the observers, it looked like progressive system failure. Rakthor's voice was almost sympathetic. You are outmatched, Captain Kim. Surrender now, and we will call this exercise complete. There is no shame in recognizing superior capability. We're not done yet, Taejin replied. He ordered the Indomitable forward. Directly toward the Sovereign's Pride, it was a slow advance. The Vexari ship easily maintained distance, continuing to fire. More hits, more damage. The Indomitable's shields dropped to 40%, then 30%. He's getting confident, Hyan-Woo observed. He thinks we're crippled. Good. Subin, are the railguns ready? Charged and locked. Dae-Young, prepare emergency overload on the power core. That could permanently damage it, sir. I know. Do it anyway. The Indomitable continued its slow advance, taking hit after hit. The observers watching the exercise were broadcasting commentary across the galaxy. Most agreed the humans had fought bravely but were clearly outmatched. The exercise would be over soon, then everything changed. The Sovereigns. Pride attempted to jump to faster-than-light speed for a tactical repositioning. Standard Union doctrine for resetting an engagement. But as the ship activated its jump drive, it encountered the cloud of coolant the Indomitable had been venting. Jump drives needed clean space to function safely. The debris fouled the Sovereign's Pride's collection arrays. Safety systems activated automatically, shutting down the jump drive to prevent catastrophic failure. For 5 seconds, the Vexari ship was dead in space, shields down while the systems reset. Now! Tae-Jin shouted. Everything happened at once. Dae-Young activated the emergency overload. The ancient power core began burning at twice its rated capacity, feeding massive amounts of energy to every system. Subin fired every railgun simultaneously. The recoil shook the Indomitable so hard that several crew members were thrown from their seats. Hundreds of metal fragments shot across space at devastating velocity. The Sovereign's Pride's shields were down. The kinetic rounds hit bare hull. The exercise computers registered catastrophic damage across multiple sections. Critical systems failed. Engines went offline, but the railguns had been a distraction, while everyone watched the kinetic barrage. Hyan-Woo launched his cyber attack. Simple human viruses, written in code so primitive that the Sovereign's Pride's quantum security systems didn't recognize them as threats. The viruses spread through the ship's network, causing minor glitches and errors, nothing fatal, but enough to confuse the tactical computers for several crucial seconds. Subin launched the final surprise, a single massive kinetic round from the main ore processor. It was the size of a small car, moving at a significant fraction of light speed. The round punched through the Sovereign's Pride from bow to stern. The exercise computers registered a kill shot. Multiple kill shots, actually. The battle was over in 3 seconds. Silence filled all the communication channels. Every observer ship had stopped broadcasting. Nobody could quite believe what they had seen. Then Rakthor's voice came through, strained and shocked. How? We had superior speed, superior weapons, superior everything? How did you win? Tae-Jin leaned back in his chair. Around him, his crew was cheering. You fought by the rules, Commander. You made the optimal moves. You followed doctrine perfectly. And we didn't. We took damage that would make any Union captain retreat. We used weapons you weren't prepared for. We exploited the moment you followed standard procedure. You fought like you were in a simulation. We fought like we were desperate. There was a long pause. Then quietly, I underestimated you. Yes, you did. The aftermath was immediate and dramatic. The exercise footage spread faster than the Silver Tide battle had. Within hours, every military academy in the Union was analyzing it. The human victory became the most discussed military engagement in recent galactic history. The Indomitable had taken severe damage. Emergency teams helped them limp back to the nearest repair station. But they had won, decisively, against a modern Union warship. Messages poured in from across the galaxy. Some congratulated them. Others expressed concern. A few openly worried about what humans might do with proper equipment, but the most important message came from High Sage Malik's. Captain Kim, on behalf of the Union Council, I extend our apologies. We gave you inadequate resources as a test, expecting you to fail or complain. Instead, you exceeded all expectations, twice. The Council is prepared to offer humanity full membership status and access to modern technology. Tae-Jin read the message to his crew. They all looked at him, waiting for his response. What are you going to tell them? Asg-Wu-Tae-Jin thought about the Indomitable. about the year they had spent turning junk into a warship, about proving that human ingenuity could overcome any disadvantage, about showing the galaxy that humanity belonged among the stars. I'm going to tell them thank you for the offer. We'll take the specifications for their technology, but we'll build it ourselves our way, because that's what humans do. He sent the reply and looked around the damaged bridge. We proved something important today. When they gave us junk, we didn't complain. We didn't beg for better. We took what we had and made it work. That's our strength. Not our technology, not our weapons, our refusal to quit. The crew cheered again. They had won more than a battle. They had won respect. 6 months after defeating the Sovereign's Pride, Tae-jin barely recognized his ship. The Indomitable had been completely rebuilt. The old mining barge hull remained, but now it was reinforced with proper military-grade armor. The shields were new and powerful. The weapons had been upgraded, though Ji-woo insisted on keeping the railguns. They worked once, she said. They'll work again. But the biggest change was less visible. Human engineers had studied the Union technology and found ways to improve it. They combined alien efficiency with human creativity, making systems that neither species would have designed alone. The power core now ran cooler and stronger. The computers processed faster. Everything was better, yet the ship still looked like a nightmare. The crew liked it that way. We've become famous, Hyun-woo said one morning, reviewing the latest galactic news. There are 3 documentaries about us. 5 military academies teaching human tactics. And someone made a simulation game where you play as the Indomitable. Are we winning in the game? Asked Subin always. Tae-jin smiled but said nothing. Fame was fine, but he knew it would bring new challenges. Humanity's success had made some aliens nervous. A species that could do so much with so little was unpredictable, dangerous. The proof came that afternoon when a priority message arrived from Union Command. Tae-jin read it 3 times, his expression growing more serious each time. He called his officers to the bridge. We have a problem, he said. A big one. The Union is facing a new threat at the galaxy's edge. Something called the Null Swarm. Dae-young pulled up the data files. What they showed made everyone silent. The Null Swarm wasn't a traditional species. It was something else, biomechanical ships that absorbed technology and converted it into more of themselves. They had appeared suddenly at the Rim territories and were advancing steadily. Union fleets have engaged them multiple times, Tae-jin continued. Every time we lose. The swarm adapts too quickly. Traditional tactics don't work. Ships get destroyed or assimilated. How bad is it? Asked Ji-woo. 3 sectors lost. Thousands dead. The Union military command is desperate. He paused. They've asked for us specifically. Why us? Subin asked. Hyun-woo answered. Because we think differently. We don't follow standard doctrine. If traditional tactics are failing, they need someone who ignores tradition. The message from High Sage Malik's was direct. They needed the Indomitable and its crew to join a task force heading to the front lines. Not to fight alone, but to teach other ships their methods. To show the galaxy how to fight an enemy that adapted to everything. It's a suicide mission, Dae-young said quietly. The survival rate for ships engaging the swarm is less than 40%. Probably, Tae-jin agreed. But if we don't go, the swarm keeps advancing. Eventually, it reaches Earth. I'd rather fight them now, out there, than later at home. He looked at each of his officers. I'm not ordering anyone. This is volunteer only. Anyone who wants to transfer, I'll approve it immediately. No judgment, nobody moved. We started this together, Ji-woo said. We finish it together. The others nodded. Subin cracked her knuckles. Besides, the swarm has never fought humans before. Let's educate them. 3 days later, the Indomitable departed for the edge of known space. But they weren't alone. Earth had been busy during those 6 months. 5 more ships emerged from Earth's orbital shipyards, each one as unique and terrifying as the Indomitable. The Ends Relentless was a carrier converted from an old generation ship. It launched small fighters that swarmed like angry bees, each one piloted by a human who grew up flying in asteroid fields. The UNS Defiant was a stealth frigate built using a combination of Union cloaking technology and human creativity. It could disappear from sensors completely. Striking from nowhere, the UNS Havoc was exactly what its name suggested, a weapons platform covered in every type of gun humanity could mount. If it existed, the Havoc could shoot it. The UNS Vanguard was built for speed and hit-and-run attacks. It would strike hard and fast, then vanish before the enemy could respond. The UNS Phoenix was a support vessel, but calling it that was misleading. It carried repair equipment, yes, but also experimental weapons, backup ammunition, and enough explosives to destroy a small moon, 6 human ships. 6 different approaches to the same problem. Together they formed Earth's first real battle fleet. "We're not following Union protocols," Taejin told the other captains during their first coordination meeting. "We're doing this the human way. That means improvisation, creativity, and accepting that we might get hurt to win." "The Union won't like that," said Captain Minho of the Relentless. "They asked for help. They'll get it our way or not at all." The fleet jumped to faster-than-light speed, heading toward the front lines. The journey took a week. During that time, they drilled constantly. Each ship practiced their specialty. They ran simulations of swarm encounters. Looking for weaknesses, Dae-Young studied every scrap of data about the null swarm. "They adapt by analyzing attacks and adjusting defenses," he explained. "Energy weapons, kinetic weapons, missiles after a few hits, the swarm develops resistance. So we need to keep changing tactics," Subin said. "Exactly. Never let them figure out our patterns." When they arrived at the front lines, the situation was worse than expected. The Union had lost another sector. Thousands of refugees were fleeing in damaged ships. A defensive line of Union vessels struggled to hold the border. The human fleet joined the line. Immediately, Taejin could see the problem. The Union ships were fighting defensively, maintaining formation, following doctrine. It wasn't working. The swarm ships kept coming, absorbing damage and adapting. "They need to see a different approach," Taejin said. "Send a message to Union Command. Tell them to watch and learn." The next swarm attack came that night. Hundreds of biomechanical ships emerged from the darkness, moving in coordinated patterns. They looked like nightmares, organic shapes mixed with metal, glowing with strange energy. The Union line prepared to fight as they always did. But the human ships broke formation. "All ships, this is indomitable. Execute Protocol Chaos." Protocol Chaos wasn't in any military manual. It was pure human invention. Each ship attacked independently, using completely different tactics. There was no pattern, no coordination. Just 6 separate nightmares descending on the swarm. The Relentless launched its fighters. Instead of organized wings, each pilot flew wildly, unpredictably. The swarm couldn't track them all. The Defiant appeared and disappeared, striking vital points before vanishing again. The swarm's adaptive sensors couldn't lock onto something that kept changing locations. The Havoc just fired everything. Missiles, railguns, lasers, plasma, kinetic rounds, chemical explosives. The swarm tried to adapt but couldn't keep up with so many different weapon types. The Vanguard darted in and out of the battle at impossible speeds, targeting the same swarm ships the Havoc had damaged. Finishing them off before they could regenerate, the Phoenix hung back, launching long-range experimental weapons and coordinating everything. And the Indomitable did what it did best, charged straight into the thickest fighting and started breaking things. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the swarm had retreated for the first time in months. Union ships floated in stunned silence, watching the humans celebrate their victory. High Sage Malik's message came immediately. "How? The swarm adapts to everything? How did you win?" "They adapt to patterns," Taejin explained. "So we didn't use patterns. We used chaos. Every ship fighting differently. Every attack unpredictable. The swarm couldn't figure us out because there was nothing to figure out." Over the following weeks, the human fleet taught their methods to Union forces. It wasn't easy. Aliens were used to order, to doctrine, to proven tactics. The idea of intentional chaos felt wrong to them, but slowly they learned. Union captains began to improvise, to take risks, to accept damage for greater gains. The human approach spread through the fleet like a virus. The swarm kept attacking, but now the Union was ready. They stopped adapting to the swarm and forced the swarm to adapt to them. And every time the swarm figured out one tactic, the defenders switched to another. 3 months later, the swarm withdrew from Union space entirely. They had lost too many ships trying to understand an enemy that refused to be understood. The war was over. At least for now. Back at the main Union station, a ceremony was held. Taejin stood with his crew and the other ship captains. Representatives from every Union species attended. High Sage Malik spoke to the assembled crowd. Humanity came to us as the newest members. We gave them junk, expecting them to fail or beg for help. Instead, they turned that junk into weapons. They proved that success isn't about having the best equipment. It's about having the right mindset. The sage turned to face the humans directly. You have earned not just our respect, but our gratitude. The Union offers full membership, advanced technology, and a seat on the council. Taejin stepped forward. We accept with thanks. But we want something else too. Name it. Keep giving challenges to new species. Keep testing them. But remember, never assume someone will fail just because they start with less. The greatest weapons aren't built in factories. They're built in the hearts of people who refuse to quit. The ceremony ended with celebration. But Taejin and his crew slipped away early. They had spent enough time at fancy events.